My time has come, we've had some fun.
It's time for the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. Here with a load of laughs, info, and fun, it's Tony B, Dave B, and Timmy D.
Before I go alone. Don't ask me this and one more song. It ain't too costly, no, I ain't too cheap, so just relax. I'm on my knees.
Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast number 114, boys. We're at number 114. Tim, that's a big number, 114.
I was taking my shoes off.
My name is Tony B. Alongside me, as usual, is David B. And Timmy D is back in the studio today. One of the most important things today is Timmy D's been out, and I think we want to catch up with Timmy D, so we'll bounce into that. And then David and I just had industry-type news stuff going on. Some good stuff, though. Looks like the weather is going to be back to hot and smoky, David B.
I hate that. And I love you, but I hate it how you love that stuff. I just can't tolerate that. But teach their own.
Yep, there we go. The views of Ship's Gonna Happen are purely news-driven and do not express the views of any transportation provider or any business entity that uses a transportation provider. Timmy D, I forget. Why do we do it?
Transportainment.
Boom!
Are we patting that yet?
No, we should, though.
Yeah, we should totally do it.
Like 3P. But you can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. You can catch us on all the search engines if you just Google or search or put in the search engine our name. Happy Saturday morning, fellas.
Good Saturday morning, producer Tony. Good to see Timmy D back in the studio. This kind of morning right here is like perfect weather morning.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of walkers in the neighborhood coming through, and just
that's because we're in a retirement village.
Yeah,
come on, play on words there.
The HOA lets people walk in this area.
Yeah,
just check.
Well, we have no sidewalks. We need sidewalks.
You call them walkers, they call them runners.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday, and the Highway 52 project we got going on out here is still going on.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, how long is this thing gonna take? But
I know.
Whatever.
Hey, look, last time I was on there, you were talking about the downtown split right under construction. Yeah. It's been that long since I've been on this stuff.
Right.
There we go. This show, along with all of our other shows, brought to you by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go after Ship's Gonna Happen week. Great place to go to unwind, chat it up with the locals, get a great meal. There's some good music. Great Divide. Stop in there, tell them that the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast sent you. Jen and her group do a great job of taking care of you, and they're still going through their little remodel project, but it's
looking
going
good.
Well. So and to thank them again for having us for our couple weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. So Timmy D, how you been? It's gonna be good to see you. Good to catch up.
Absolutely.
4 times in 4 months ain't bad, is it, gentlemen?
Hey, we'll take it.
We're beginning to think it's us.
Yeah, we thought you had another podcast contract or something going on, man.
It's just life, man. It's crazy to think.
Well, you got youngins.
You can't get
still.
Saturday mornings to be free, but everything's good.
How is life now that things are changed or whatever?
Yeah, full disclosure, Tim worked at Yellow.
Yeah.
And he's been going through some stuff.
Years.
So yeah, for a long, how many years?
20.
That's a long time. 2 decades,
20.
man. Loyal. You were loyal.
Yeah. I was a company man for sure. Everything was always done from my heart in the best interest of the company and the customer at the same time. So, no, everything's good. You know, the funniest, craziest thing to think about is, and you guys are still in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm unemployed, right? So maybe I don't know, but the third largest company, LTL provider in the nation, goes under. And you would think there'd be ripples or waves somewhere, somehow, but there was so much capacity in the network, in the entire industry, it just got absorbed. Yep. And we talk about often the small fish always gets swallowed by the big fish. You know, how many times we talked about mergers or acquisitions, and you go through all that type of stuff, and then the third largest LTL provider completely goes under. Mm-hmm. Right? They filed bankruptcy 2 Sundays ago or last Sunday. Officially filed it. I think 2 Sundays ago.
31st or whatever.
Well, they actually filed on a Sunday.
So the
It was
30th.
actually 2 weeks into that. But
Mhm.
the craziest thing is the capacity was there. Right. So now it puts the ball kind of back into those providers, the carriers again, to do rate increases, because now the capacity is back to being close to being full. But it wasn't big enough. Here's the funny thing. It wasn't quite big enough yet, in my opinion. Again, I'm unemployed, so I don't know this, but it's still not a large enough loss in the industry to push it into truckload to drive that market back into a profitable margin. Does that make sense?
It does make 100%.
As I'm saying, is the truckload rates are still very low right now.
Mm-hmm.
And typically those rates go up when the LTL has overcapacity because the volumes and bigger shipments get pushed out of the LTL into the truckload market. And that's what fills that market up.
Yeah.
All those extra trucks. But there was so much, it was so soft that almost the industry needed it to happen to fill the capacity and get every trucking company outside the one that closes the doors back to being profitable.
I think there's some truth to that, but I'm going to tell you right now, brother, we felt it.
I bet you did.
It was felt. It was felt by all the big 4 or 5. I think they felt it.
A little bit. But what I'm saying is you had the room to get it done.
Yeah, it backed up a bunch of terminals in areas, pockets, right? And where
it's
you
the
guys
same
were
pockets
strong.
that but a lot of we all. So the thing about the LTL thing is, in case you guys don't know, is everyone has the same pockets, and I can name them right now: Salt Lake, Denver, Chicago,
California, and Bloomington,
right? Bloomington, California, which
Harrisburg.
Pinko or whatever they call it, there. Seattle, Portland.
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg was always a strong one. That was our flagship, but
it's a lot of volume. I mean,
there's
a ton of volume through there.
So those type of terminals, Atlanta is another one I can think of. Dallas, all your big
Detroit,
your big metropolitan, like everyone shared the same issues. So someone like some of these other LTL, like you said, now instead of it being just Denver, it may back up a Kansas City or a St. Louis. St. Louis is always going to struggle. Was always Oklahoma City. Some of those points going in there are now trapping the freight per se and doing more direct load for the satellites of those type of terminals.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. Of course, I don't know, right? I mean, they literally just shut my shit off. I had 6 hours to get everything done. Sorry for cussing. So
what was it like though
6
for
hours.
you the last couple of weeks? I mean, you were thinking, because we're all thinking that. I mean, Dave and I were thinking that the union contract ended up getting done, and then
so I thought I wasn't really worried. Like my customers asked me, and I told them straight up and down. I'm like, well, for the Holland brand, it's next day, right? You can use us up through Thursday because we should be delivering it on Friday. And we were getting much better in the Holland network than we had been for a long time. Not perfect, but I personally thought that it wasn't going to go. There was nothing to do with the strike. But that, in my opinion, when they came out and said the strike news, right now you got customers panicking.
Right, yeah.
And we can say whatever we want. The problem is your mom and pops, your local customers only make up probably about 25% of what we really do across the entire nation. So 75% is driven by corporate. Well, corporate always has RFPs. They've always got people in the pipeline, right?
Right.
So they started pulling business. And I never looked at the corporate side because I really didn't get paid on the corporate side. So I didn't give a crap about the port. I made some contacts because we had some issues.
Did what you had to do.
Yeah. Keep up the relationships, have that local feel, but you didn't have any influence, right? They had marching orders. So what I didn't realize is the corporate business started pulling out before that because of that strike or possible strike.
Yeah.
On that Tuesday, Wednesday, they started pulling out. Thursday, all the freight was gone. They had already moved it all.
Wow.
So we had lost so much revenue with just that little bit of piece. So then Monday happens, and we get a call early in the morning, and they're like, go get the business back. Call all your customers.
Wow.
We're ready to roll. The union's not going on strike. Hey, wheels are up. We're going. All right, cool. So we spent all day calling. Called Monday afternoon, and they're like, hey, I want everybody in the terminal on Tuesday. We're going to be doing the same stuff. We're going to dial, what I call dialing for dollars, right? Just pick up the phone. You just keep calling. I go to lunch on my own dime, right? Because we're not expensive anything, right? Because we're money crunch.
Sure.
My own dime, I take a customer of mine to lunch, Bettyman Speedway. And so we sit down, we have lunch. I'm getting ready to roll back to the terminal. I call a colleague, just the bull crap. He's like, hey, blah, blah. I was like, I'm on my way back to the terminal. He goes, no, go home. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, boss said go home. They're not making no more pickups. We're going bankrupt. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. So I start calling my boss. Well, boss don't answer. Uh-oh. So I get home. The next thing you know, so Tuesday night, I kind of could see the writing on the wall. I reached out to a bunch of people. I had interviews set up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, I'm not going to sit here and wait. And so that's kind of ish when I knew. But the thing is, we were never told that we were allowed to tell the customer to do anything different. They made it clear as day. Don't call your customer. Because we're like, can we call our customers like, hey, this or that? And they're like, no. Because we don't know 100% yet, right? We're hoping for the best. So we never had direction on what to do at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And our direction, the only direction we had was don't go and tell them no. That's what they were strong about is, hey, no, all systems is fine. Everything's go, go, go. Okay. I don't know any difference. I'm just a peon, you know?
Right.
And all I'm doing is doing what I'm told to do. So it was interesting. It was a screwed up week.
Yeah.
Being as loyal as you were as an employee, how either I want to choose my words wisely. How pissed off were you, or what was going through your head? I mean, 20 years, solid years of being a loyal employee, and now all of a sudden you get the rug yanked out from underneath of you.
I'm not bitter. I'm more disappointed that I didn't have the option. I guess maybe I had the option, but you didn't think you had the option. I didn't get a chance to call my loyal customers who become my friends.
Right.
I wasn't allowed to call them and tell them anything.
Right.
Outside of, I just called them all on Monday and told them, give me your freight, turn it back on. Okay, got it. Outside of me calling that, I mean, really, and when I made that call, I wasn't confident with it, but that's what I was told to do.
Right.
So there's a few people I didn't call at all because you know what? I didn't want to betray them, but I'm not allowed to call and say, don't ship. And because I'm not going to be that guy. And, you know, they were big about that. It felt like you're talking out both sides of your head, you know, and that's bullcrap to me. I don't do business that way. And, but I own up to it. Again, I'm a company guy. These are your marching orders. That's what I do. And so after 20 years, I'm not bitter with it. You know what I mean? Like, you can sit there and cry about it. You can do all this. I can point fingers at both sides of you know, what was a union? Was it? I don't point fingers. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that says, okay, I just get up, dust yourself off, move on to the next one.
I know it's only been a couple weeks. Have you had any opportunity to talk with some people that you've worked with in the past at Yellow and see if they've caught on or what they're doing? Or
we've had some unemployment pool parties at the house. Hell yeah. Right. Fridays is unemployment day at my house. Get the baloney out, baby. We getting in the pool and getting drunk. No. So that's our team. Our team was fairly new. We got a big group text and rooting for everybody on what their next adventure might be. You know, that's the thing about our team was unique is that you got some guys on that team that's, I think we had one guy that was 66 years old, 68 years old, right? We got a couple that's in their 60s. We got a couple that were in their 20s. So it's a very dynamic. Hell, one of the guys we had just hired, he's been on the team for about a year. He was our customer. He's a traffic manager, and he came over to be a sales guy, right?
Right.
And so it's very interesting to see what people are going to do. Are they going to stay in the industry, or you know, what does that look like?
So, what are your thoughts with that?
With what?
With being at Yellow for 20 years and looking around at what's available out there without, you know, you having to say what you don't and want to say, but if you could elaborate on how's it been? You mentioned earlier that you had some interviews, so it sounded like you had some stuff popping right away.
So I've interviewed for a lot of things, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I had a lot of customers reach out. So that's the crazy thing. My cell phone that they gave me, I'm still getting text messages. And I'll just tell you, so on that, probably that Monday after we quote unquote closed the doors, I had 22 text messages and 17 missed calls. But my phone, it shows it's coming in, but it ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the text message is there, but I can't reply type deal. So
Right.
I don't know what they did. I have no clue how, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was on that Monday. On that Tuesday, I had, it was like 16 text messages and 13 missed calls. And these are all different customers, right? And literally most of their texts like, what's going on? What, where's this? I don't know. I mean, they, excuse me. On that Friday when they let me go, that was at 11:36, we'll call it. It was about a 90-second recording. Thanks for shopping. Have a good day. You got until whatever midnight to sign your paperwork. Have a good day. Bye. By 12:30, I couldn't get back in my computer. It was shut down.
Wow.
So I didn't have access to email. I couldn't, there's no track. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as far as I've applied for everything from traffic manager. I've applied for a few of those. I've applied for fleet type of jobs, like fleet management type of stuff. I'll be honest with you guys. I've physically only filled out one hard school application, 2 on the computer application type stuff. That's it. That's all I filled out. But I think I've probably had about 24 interviews. Wow. I've got post-it notes everywhere. And that's just from networking and knowing people in the industry, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I applied for a couple federal jobs, with my other stuff. If I can get the pension, the federal pension would be amazing, right? So I applied for some federal gigs. And I've applied, kind of interviewed this or that for a wide range of trucking companies, from the smallest one-day provider to national brands. It's been fun. I'm more of a humble person. Well, I don't like to talk about what I do on a day-to-day. So it's new and interesting for me to get outside my shell and do that. It's tough because you're supposed to
right.
boost yourself, and I don't do that.
This is the most you've opened up ever in the time I've known you, as far as saying what you've got going on. But to your point, and we said this when this happened, people got your back, man. People are here for you. There's plenty, as you've seen
You're
already.
Gonna find a job.
Yeah,
quick.
you'll be.
So I've had. Right when it happened, I could tell one of my other customers called me. He's like, "Hey, I just made a phone call to an area vice president of sales for X, Y, and Z. Gave him your number, told him to call you immediately. He said he don't have nothing right now, but he wants to talk to you. He's got some things in the works." And so that just made me feel better about myself, that my customers were looking out for me and actually gave a crap about what was going on.
Yep.
I feel more of a piece of crap because now I don't have an income, and I'm not that guy, right? Mm-hmm. So, like I told the wife, I said, "Hey, I'll go work tables at Texas Roadhouse. I mean, I already get mad at the piss poor service. Let me go in there, try out, see what happens." Dave
and I would be your best customers.
Well, my thing is, I want 9 tables. I'll run someone's them 22-year-olds. No offense, I run circles around them. Yeah. I'm not that, because I'm a worker, right? Yeah. And that was what I loved when I moved into sales. Was now it's me betting on myself. So, I am taking a new opportunity starting Monday, betting on myself.
Congratulations.
And so we'll see what happens. I will tell you, I had a really good offer from a company that I really enjoyed. I was unfortunately they were about a week and a half late. It was a day late, dollar short. But so I've had some opportunities out there. But, a lot of these guys I'm talking to is like, "Hey, I'm going to take a month off," and I probably should have done that. I will tell you, interviewing is harder than working
Sure.
if you make it your job. And that's what I did.
Mhm.
Every day up at 6:30 in the morning, right? I'm grinding from 7 a.m., right?
Yeah.
And the wife say, well, you didn't get shit done. I ain't had time.
Yeah.
I had 5 interviews today.
Yeah.
And in between those interviews, I'm looking for other jobs.
And they're all on the computer?
Oh, yeah.
Every one of them?
Now, I had a couple in persons, but most of them were on a computer.
Wow.
It was phone interviews I took a 30-minute interview, turned into an hour, and then we get on a Teams, and that hour a lot ended up being 90 minutes, right? And you're doing 3 or 4 of those a day.
Yeah.
That shit adds
Right.
up.
And you're tired from it.
It was a job, and that's what she's like. You're gonna get the speakers hung in the pool house, bitch. I'm working here.
Here's what's funny. If you would have been on a floaty doing it with your laptop in your lap, it'd be like,
put one of those backgrounds on me.
It's like, I'm unemployed right now. I'm a fun guy, and if you hire me.
So my first pool party I had to leave the pool party to go in and do 2 different Teams calls with people. I had people over that never been to my house, and I'm like, I'll be back. I had to go in and interview.
That's great.
So to your point, but yeah, it's exhausting. I will tell you that it is exhausting. And so you guys know out there, I've been there 20 years, and for anyone that's been somewhere for 20 years, you're going to lose interviewing experience. But I've literally never really had an interview. I had an assessment test when I started with Roadway Express back in 2013.
Personality assessment.
Whatever it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I filled in some circles and the dots with the
He's
old
crazy. Hire him.
number 2 pencil. And a guy named Jim hired me immediately, basically.
Jim O'Connor?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's his last name.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
Jim O'Connor.
Good man.
I've been waiting to. Okay, so Jim O'Connor, and I got hired, and everything else was internal promotions, right? Or internal hire.
Man, because you do a good job there, you can work your way up.
So that's the thing, is that the boss always saw, obviously I was doing something right. So, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I mean, I've always got, and that was the interesting thing about the interviewing part. I'm like, luckily my wife for many, many years, she know resume writer. So I've got that going for me. Right. But in these things, and they're like, oh, you should put things like your numbers on your resume and all that shit. And I'm like, man, I ain't got time to mess with
They're
you
probably like, holy shit, this guy's only been at one company. Call him back.
Yeah.
Right.
That's, my
That's-
resume.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One.
So that was the, it's crazy. It's been
Well, it just sucks to be 20 years of somewhere and wake up one day and it's not there, right?
I
had that feeling before.
I just drove up to Zionsville. I was in your neck of the woods, in downtown Zionsville, to meet with a guy about what I do with my 401k that was sitting there.
Right.
What do you do with something like that? Not that, okay, full disclosure, they weren't matching shit. It wasn't like, but I was able to invest in it,
Right. Getting the perks of their advantage.
Yeah. And that's, and it, there's just a lot that I'm the guy that's making the phone calls ahead of time. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. I've learned a lot about myself. More than and every time you talk to somebody, like, oh yeah, I need to add that to the next one. You know what I mean? Because you can see them kind of
right
when I start writing a little bit of notes down, this or that. But I'm gonna miss it. I do. I liked a lot of people I worked with, but I can tell you from the inside, looking out in that company, if they would have. I can see why they would file bankruptcy. And I'm not trying to point fingers, but there are some dumb items that these operators did. And the Teamsters themselves kicking themselves like, oh, well, I don't want to deliver that. Well, because of that, you've cost us more money. And because of that, we're out of money. Now, and you could name it piss poor management all you want. We had piss poor management the whole time. So that's a constant, just like you have piss poor Teamsters. And I'm not trying to bash the Teamsters. I love the Teamsters, right? I got a lot of good friends. But the things that they miss, I was talking to a guy that retired. He has free health care for him and his family for 5 years after they retire. He just had a $60,000 hip surgery. Didn't pay a dime out of his pocket because he still had benefits from when he retired. Because that's what everyone's missing.
Right.
That's what you don't understand, is that is $15 more an hour that we're paying into your pension and health and welfare. So yeah, you may only be making $24 an hour, and a T-Force guy's making $32 an hour, or UPS freight, whatever. They're T-Force completely now, but there's a big in your pocket difference, but at the end of the day, there's a big piece that you're getting a lot of. And I hate to say this, there's of the 22,000 union employees, there's probably 3,000 that can retire or will retire. I think there's another, at least half of what's left of that won't find another job. And I say that because, no offense to the union again, but there's a lot of companies that blacklist the union because they don't want the union being brought in.
Right.
They're 55 and have medical issues. They're not going to go down that road. Within the first week, they're going to need a day off. They're not going to play that game somewhere else, right? And there's some bad attitudes out there as well that they're just not going to have it. Now, there's a good crop out there that will go find other jobs and have their wife has a good job, but in my opinion, I think half of those 22,000 won't find another job. And that's sad.
Yeah, it is.
It's real sad.
Yeah.
It's all reality after you can ride that pony. For most people, you can probably ride it for about 2 months, tops. That third month, you're going to be capital constraint for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Especially depending on what your finance situation is, right?
Right.
So
that's why I got a buddy of mine. good buddy of mine. I hunt with him. Love him to death. He's like, well, this is my calling. I've been wanting to sit back and do my own thing, so I'm going to try that. And I'm like, go ahead, buddy. You're going to be missing that paycheck.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I got to start now, Tim. I'm like, I get it. But someone that wanted to do that 20 years ago would have found a way.
Right.
And
That's true.
He's got 24 total years invested.
Wow.
So
wow. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, man. That's good stuff.
To the Timmy D show, which is
good
nice
stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
David, did you have?
Here. Have you been able to? Can you get a hold of Buffy, or do you know? Is he?
I feel like I'm a special guest right now. You guys are interviewing me.
Can we get a hold of Buffy?
Buffy, I think, retired
did he?
about 6-8 months ago.
Oh,
he did. Wow.
I think he finally went and started driving a dump truck for somebody.
So what about that, Tim? Those that retired. That's Dave and I didn't really know that. We were talking about that. So if you retired, is your pension going to be okay?
So, well,
do you know?
First off, you got the Teamsters pension, and then some of the old guys at Rotary Express and Yellow had a pension as well. Yeah, all that pension for the management side was frozen back in 2006.
Right.
Turned over to the government, so it's still sitting there as in 2006.
Okay.
The Teamsters pension is backed. So here's what I don't know if you guys know this, but about a year and a half ago, so everyone's bitch moaning, complaining about the $700 million U.S. Treasury loan to the Yellow Corporation. What no one saw was, I think 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the federal government gave $37 billion, as my buddy Joe would tell you, billion, to the Teamsters pension and welfare to Central States. That represents about half of ours.
I didn't know that.
So when Yellow refused to pay the $50 million for 2 weeks, paid back with interest, and they were bitch moaning, complaining about $50 million, the federal government a year and a half ago gave up a $34 or $37 billion loan / free money. Here you go. Never pay it back to guarantee the Teamsters pension because it was in such deficit and ran so piss poorly by the union.
Right.
And I don't know if anyone else has thought about it, but the whole point of like a Central States of those is because of the Jimmy Hoffa days. They want the Teamsters to have nothing to do with that. You need a third party. That's what the Central States. But it was bankrupt, and they bailed them out with a $37 billion quote unquote loan. So it's all frozen with the government. So as far as their pension, whenever that end of service was, which would be July 31st. Or July 28th or whatever their last day was, all that's back that's done. Okay. So it's frozen at whatever that is.
Okay. So it's not going to be zero for them.
No, but if you got hired in when you're 45 and you're just 52, you got 7 years, right? What are you going to get?
Probably not much.
$23 a month, which is fine. It's better than nothing. But I mean, I got friends that are still working at the terminals right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I heard. That some of them are still working.
They kept a lot of the upper management still sitting there, just for people to come in. Someone's got to be there for someone to come in and get it, to get the freight. You know.
Yeah, I had to call to rescue about 5 shipments, and the first time I called, and I'm not trying to be whatever when I say this, the first time when I called,
Arrogant.
I got a gal that didn't speak any English, and I was immediately pissed. I'm like, please tell me that and so I calmed down. I waited a day, and I called back, and this is Mike with Yellow. How can I help you? And I'm like, okay. So Mike, I can tell there's a little, disdain in your voice, or you're a little upset. And he goes, yeah. He goes, it's been kicking the pants. And so we had a very nice conversation. And I go, can you help me rescue 5 shipments? And he goes, yeah. So we walked through that. He did a great job. And I asked him, I go, how you been feeling? I go, I know you don't know me from Adam, but if you'd like, let's have a little bit of a conversation. And he goes, I wish I would have been part of the first wave of layoffs, that I'm still here and it was a nice conversation, but I kind of felt bad for him. So,
well, that's why. And I asked some of my buddies, I'm like, I don't know why you're staying around. They're like, what do you mean? I'm still getting, they said, as soon as I don't get a check, I'm not coming. And I said, I get that. I said, here's the problem though. You stick around and you continue to be a company man. And 4 months from now, you're done. The end result is you're going to get fired. Now you're 4 months behind the next guy to you that's already been looking for a job. And these jobs aren't your Burger King jobs. These jobs take their processes. Right. They take weeks. There's multiple interviews, right? And then a lot of these companies, it takes you 3 or 4 weeks to get a paycheck.
Man, you want to jump on the right one, right?
And so if all you're doing is getting behind in the back of the line for the end result, and I hate to say this away because my best buddy's dad just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. But it's, the end result, right? You're not going to have a job. So why stick around? But you know what? They all have good attitudes. I just got it. I want to be in front of that, right?
Right.
I wanted to
be riding the wave.
First. Yeah, I want to be the first one in line.
Mm-hmm.
I want my name called first before everybody else.
Right.
If you ain't hunting, you ain't going to find, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, you can't, as one of my shirts says, you can't kill them from the couch, right? You gotta get up and go do it.
Yeah.
So, it's been interesting, boys. I can tell you that. It's been real interesting.
Well, we're glad you're okay and happy that you got a lot of action.
I'm just glad you guys had me back in the studio.
We've been worried about you.
So. Yeah, we've just been
wondering. Why are you worried? Don't worry about me.
I don't know if worrying.
Maybe be
concerned. Yeah.
Well, it's sweet of you guys. Yeah. We can all hug it out later.
Yeah. We've been doing this for 3 years. Right?
Yeah. COVID. Remember, I had COVID. I couldn't go over one of those when it first started.
Remember, I had the plastic stuff blocking us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Took that stupid shit
down. Man, I don't remember that. We did.
Yeah, I did that plastic thing. It was well.
Anyway,
the studio's changed over the years. I can tell you that.
The David B wanted to bring up.
I think we were going to bring up
bankruptcy?
The same thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now we've got Estes kind of coming in and maybe going to absorb $1.3 billion worth of.
They're sharing the debt, right? So
is that what's going on?
So Apollo. So here's what I know. So our shares, you saw them go out the chain, right?
Yeah.
So Apollo is the original backing group that pretty much owns all this debt. Well, they own about equal what the government owned. So they were trying to buy up because once you have the majority of the shares, then you get paid first.
Right.
So the Apollo group was buying back in. So they offered a $143 million and some change loan, short-term loan on 17% interest in a bankruptcy loan. That was denied earlier this week. And Estes and another financial group, but I can't think of the name, they want to buy the debt themselves. They filed to own the debt themselves at a different type of loan.
The Citadel group came in and assumed Citadel assumed the payment from Apollo's out.
Yeah, Apollo got so Citadel.
So Citadel's going to finance it, and then
Estes wants to buy
made a $1.3 million or $1.2 million or $1.3 billion for the property.
Really?
Yes.
So so they did file for that?
They offered what's considered, I'm losing a term in my mind right now. There's a term for the first one that does it. So I think it gets them in there probably was some side conversations going on where they were like,
so that's Yellow has a lot of new equipment.
There's a lot of nice terminals,
and they've
too.
got a lot of tractors. I don't know about night. I mean, there might be nice terminals. I've never seen one.
well, think about this, Tim, though, real quick before you say that. California, if you're going to pour concrete or build a terminal, holy crap, dude, it's
right.
Whoa. Yeah.
But someone that large. So I think that, I mean, it's a smart thing. I just don't think we had that. So supposedly Yellow had $2 billion worth of assets.
I think it's about right. Yeah.
But I don't think, I don't see, when you go into liquidation, that's going to turn into about $400 million, in my opinion. So how much debt do you want to take on to buy out the loans to own that equipment? But like you said, I guess you're right. The strategic piece of where that terminal is with the already concrete poured and the docks laid, right? Yeah. And maybe like an Estes has a plan that, hey, I already know where every terminal is. I want to move mine because maybe. So Roadway owned all their terminals.
Right.
So when this merger back in YRC, Roadway owned their terminals. A lot of Yellow's terminals were leased.
It's funny you say that because go ahead though. I was telling David because I did research on where it would work out for us. And there's really only like maybe 10 or 15. The rest won't because we already have bigger terminals. So, but like you're saying, they're strategic, and a lot of them are in California and Florida. And then when I was looking up so I looked up the Yellow. We looked up the Yellow facility. Me and another person looked up the Yellow facility at High School Road. Mm-hmm. It's owned by Yellow, but it's valued at $100,000, which it's way more than that because the Holland terminal was valuated at $3 million. So yeah, it was bizarre.
You know why Holland's in that terminal, don't you? So that's the other.
It's a Roadway terminal.
Yeah, but there's more reasons.
No, I don't know the reason.
We tried to sell that.
Nobody wants to buy it.
No, we had it sold to a trucking company. I won't say the name. They're good size. They couldn't end up selling it unless they fixed all the back where the fuel islands used to be. Yeah. So the soil was screwed up.
Yeah.
So we either had to fix that to legally sell it, and we're like, no, they're buying it. They're taking it as is. They're like, no, they have to fix it too. And they're like, we're not fixing it. You need to fix it. And that was going to cost them almost $2 million.
Oh, yeah. I remember you told me that. Right.
So they said, screw that. We're going to move Holland out of the brand new facility down there in Greenwood, Indiana, up here.
Right.
And those guys went from an indoor dock basically to an outdoor dock.
Beautiful dock.
Oh, yeah. So how many other of those terminals have those same issues?
Yeah.
And now, does that change their mind in a liquidation to where when they sell these properties because they got underneath the foreclosure type stuff, or they don't have to dig up the fuel island type deals or the check the soil? I mean, this was like, the terminal been there for 100 years, literally.
It was funny. It's funny you say that because I looked at all the ones that would have fuel islands, and there weren't very many. But you don't know if there was one there at one point.
So,
right?
Maybe I come from the DC world. So yeah, you're talking about your smaller ones where you're in the lines, you don't have.
And some of the newer ones may not have had, like, I don't think that Bloomington terminal, which is a nice Yellow terminal, I don't think it had a fuel island.
It's in the hood though.
Yeah. They're all there though.
Hell is.
They're all there though.
Well, yeah.
It's like the biggest one. You ought to look at the FedEx ground terminal in Bloomington. It's bigger than this entire freaking both our neighborhoods. It was unbelievably. They got solar panels on the roofs, but it was interesting looking at those. But
so another quick little tidbit here is that I talked to a colleague down in Kentucky, and he said because he floats between two terminals, both of those Teamsters hadn't seen a union person in over a year.
What do you mean, like a union steward?
Business agent.
Business agent.
So they didn't know anything. They didn't know. They were in more blind than we were.
Wow.
Like their Teamster brothers up the top of the food chart weren't telling them anything. They didn't know about any of this stuff that was being offered to the Teamsters just to come to the table. I got a tidbit that our vice president of labor negotiations camped out overnight inside of a hotel waiting for the union guy to come down so that he could try to corner him to say, when can we sit down to talk? That's how hardball they were playing. And because of that, he cost his union $1.4 million a month for the rest of their lives because of the income that they got from those Teamsters, and didn't tell those folks anything.
Wow.
Sad.
It is.
Matty Ice told that story.
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
Yeah. To be clear here, so the trucking firm Estes has submitted a $1.3 million bid to acquire bankrupt Corp. Yellow Shipment Centers attorney said Thursday, U.S. bankruptcy court hearing. Yellow attorney Allison Smith, this is from Reuters, said that Estes' proposal was received while Yellow was negotiating several offers for bankruptcy financing. Estes had offered to provide a loan, but then the Citadel Hedge Fund Group and MFM Partners, which is Yellow's largest shareholders, told Smith the bankruptcy court hearing in Delaware, the new loan company, 180-day period for Yellow to solicit higher bids for its real estate assets and sell its fleet of trucks. Estes' offer shipping terminal comes close to covering all of Yellow's pre-bankruptcy debt, including $700 million owed to the U.S. Treasury for a 2020 pandemic relief fund.
That floor or that bid they set, that's probably going to be. I doubt that
might go up. I don't know. It could go up. I doubt it, though. I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the carriers, I mean, FedEx has already closed 20 terminals, right? So they're not going to need it. UPS, I'm talking larger shippers. UPS got rid of their, right? They're not going to need it. Transforce, I don't think so.
So I thought T-Force. I thought T-Force might buy some of those, right?
Maybe, but I don't know if they're going to put in a $1.4 billion bid. Is what I'm saying.
No,
I don't think they do that.
Yeah, I think that bid is set to be like They put in that thinking nobody else will counter.
Right. I'm thinking. Yeah. Yeah, it's called a floor bid.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, what do they call it, Dave?
A floor bid. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I guess somebody could, but I think Estes' statement was they wanted to help the industry. So then in saying that means to me, if you're a smaller regional carrier, you can't put in a 1 billion bid for the terminals. You're not even able to put in any single bid. So if a company like Estes does buy them a carrier, they'd be willing to, you know what I mean, wheel and deal with those terminals. Plus the property value, I would think, at the airport by High School Road, I would think, man, that might be.
Well, that one, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's
I don't know a lot about it.
There's a Cassidy building is what we call it. We owned we own the next lot next to it too.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So we own that whole acreage plus the parking lot that's huge. That's all around the Gate Gourmet or whatever.
Oh yeah, right behind.
So that's all owned by Yellow Corp.
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of, I mean, the Louisville one, I think they sold off because they moved up to the Holland and Jeffersonville, but same thing in Evansville. It's right by the airport. Terre Haute is in a decent little piece of property, fairly renovated. I mean, all these terminals, a lot of these were renovated too, like the insides and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So sad day in trucking, but another one bites the dust. We talk about it often on this show.
Yep.
So you wouldn't think someone that large would happen, right?
No, it's really surprising, especially knowing what, to me, and David and I talked about it. To me, like, I got a little emotional over the whole thing because this is the historical part of the people I know that work there. And I used to always be mad at Roadway about selling. But like as time's gone by, and I was mad at Holland for some because I went there and worked. Now I understand why they did it. I mean, I just don't think they wanted to deal with the Teamsters down the long term. They projected debt and they just didn't want to deal with it. And Yellow, for some reason, thought they could manage it. And my whole thing is once DHL pulled out of America, that's when it's all started to go down. Because I think this whole thing was set up to sell to DHL or UPS, and it didn't work. And because UPS bought overnight, right? And then they just switched gears, and then UPS pulled their money out of the central state pensions. And I just think that was when it started.
Yeah, but T-Force is still union.
They are, yeah. But I'm talking about they pulled out of that funding that part of the Teamsters pension. It was like $6 billion they pulled out in 06 or 04. They pulled it out, maybe 06.
It sucks for a lot of people. That's what I know. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of people unemployed today, no fault of their own. But I can tell you there's some people out there that worked with us that hopefully this is a wake-up call that you can't go and be lazy.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about not only the workforce, but I'm talking about the management side as well.
Well, that was my whole thing too, because I tell that stupid story of the piece of wood laying on the dock, and I picked it up and threw it out, and then the union wants to file a grievance on me because I'm cleaning up the dock, and it's like a safety hazard, and I'm like, well, did you drive by it? And did you refuse to fix the safety? And it's like, what are we arguing about? And we're an internal manager's office. They're arguing about me picking up a piece of wood, and I'm like, this is stupid.
It's dumb.
Right. So, just stupid stuff like that is I
correct.
think gets them in trouble. And then, and you got management that just signs it and says, I agree to it.
Yeah.
So,
but you also got people out there they got ping pong in their offices, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out to the real world and it's like, then you got 25-year-old person straight out of college playing ping pong.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you have time to be playing ping pong? Shouldn't you be working?
Right.
Like if I was your manager, I'd be on your ass all day.
Right.
There's no way. If I caught you at that ping pong table, you would be working for me.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah. David
Well, sorry to just talk the whole time, folks.
No.
I enjoyed
It's all been good. It's all been good. If we're gonna hard cut, we might want to go to some random thoughts or something. Or
Yeah, let's do them.
all right. So it's finally football season. We're into NFL preseason.
Yeah,
High school football started around here yesterday.
Timmy told us new pal lost.
Yep. And then college football is starting. So
Yeah.
and we now have, since the last time we saw Tim, we now have 18 teams in the Big Ten.
Oh,
So
hello. What do you think about that, Timmy D?
Did the other ones commit the?
I think they're going to.
they did.
Oregon and Washington,
they
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
To come in at the
Pac-10's
same
destroyed.
time USC
Right.
and
Yeah, there's going to be
UCLA.
3 power conferences. That's all it's going to be.
That's what's going to end up, right?
Okay.
So, so I watched.
What's your
But
random
then
thought?
where does this is
This is-
that. This is random.
All right.
But yeah. So does Notre Dame fall into, where do they fall into all this?
They got to go to the big.
Or do they still do what they're doing?
They're getting ready to sign another contract with I just read something about that. So the
Okay.
last contract they signed with NBC was the largest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next one's supposed to be even bigger. But again, some of their ACC stuff is they got to have so many games. So the question is, how many more games is ACC going to require? I don't see them giving in. I don't.
Well, no way to get them though. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Though. I got
so
an
does
idea
this
to get them.
does this waiver their relevancy at all? Or are they still
don't think
as
so.
relevant as they always have?
I think
been?
they are.
Okay.
But I have a thing. What Tim said. If the Big Ten were to go after Clemson, because Clemson's kind of wanting out of that, they're leaving the ACC. So is that going to be an SEC or Big Ten's going to get them?
Mhm.
So probably SEC. But if the Big Ten were able to do that, to maybe grab a couple of them, Clemson being the target, I think then Notre Dame says, maybe I go to maybe the SEC starts pounding Notre Dame. Think about that. If the FCC grabs Notre Dame, they're into the Midwest.
Mhm.
If the Big Ten can grab Clemson, they're in the South. That'd be huge. I don't know. I was just thinking about that on my own.
Here's the deal. It's all about money. We all know that.
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
So no one's going to be able to pay them.
Notre Dame's TV contracts equivalent for about 40% of the entire Big Ten contract. Why would you give away your piece of the pie? Remember when?
That's true.
So this was all started about 6-7 years ago when Texas, when they wanted to make a Big 12 network.
Texas A&M and Texas.
No, Texas himself, Longhorn Network. Big 12 is like they started the Longhorn Network. There's so much, and Texas said the only way I'll go with you if I get 40% of all of Big 12 contracts, as in whatever revenue you bring in on this network. Because the Big 10 again started the network thing, right, with their own Big 10 network. So Big 12 was trying to do that, and Texas said no, not without me getting 40%. Me. Notre Dame's already getting that money from NBC and Peacock,
right,
and all
Peacock.
right.
Yeah.
So why would they give in? Just keep playing it. The only thing you're missing. That's kind of why Big Ten went out to the West Coast and went up to New York and all that. The only thing I think you're missing is the recruitment. You're missing the recruits.
Mhm.
Notre Dame already has a battle because of their educational standards.
Mhm.
So that's already a battle. And the cost of the university. They have those two big battles, but they're a Dallas Cowboy. They're a national brand as it is.
But if they don't align themselves with somebody, does that hurt? What's the relevancy?
Well,
What's
it's
the
the
relevancy of putting Notre Dame on our schedule?
Right.
Whether you're
well,
whoever.
exactly.
Big
I
deal.
think they get hurt by that in the long term because if the conferences break out into playoff brackets, I think that hurts them. Right? Like, why would you? If you're Alabama and you're exactly right. If you're Alabama and you got to play maybe Clemson or whoever moves into your conference, now you got this. There's really only 2 non-conference games you're going to play. Well, you're not going to go beat your brains in at Notre Dame, right? To Notre Dame, it's their advantage to play them, but it's no advantage really to play them, especially if it's conference oriented,
Right.
There is because of the TV, because you're as a visitor, you get 40%. You get 40% of everything from that TV ratings.
Right.
Notre
I get
Dame
that.
gets 60%.
But if they want to clean it up and do a playoff thing like the NCAA does in basketball, which I think that's what they're headed towards, some kind of
a little bit.
something
They're
like
every
that.
announced, aren't they going to 8 teams in 2025?
Right.
Does that sound right? 2024?
Something like that.
So, I mean, I think it hurts Notre Dame to not.
I
be
don't
in a
think
conference.
Marion's going to get into the Big Ten.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I hope not.
They're-
I like my.
I have a
small
bunch of
school.
Saturdays with them on my calendar.
I like it. I like the small school. I don't want them to get any bigger.
Yeah.
I'll be mad if they go D2. So
Oh,
whatever. I think they're pushing for that though. So, but just I mean, I love this time of year.
right.
Get into football and college football.
So with football in the
Pro.
brain, we'll go around the horn. We'll start with Tony B on this one.
Mhm.
Name your Super Bowl winner right now, NFL.
Right now,
Name your Super Bowl winner. The Colts are available.
I think based on what I saw with the Colts in preseason, they're going to be lucky to win 6, 7, 9 games.
Well, the over-under is 4.5, so you
Is
saying I
it?
should take it?
But you probably should because
On the over, right?
over, yeah. So I'm going to say, man, I just think it's going to be. I just think the Eagles are going to be there again.
I'm with you.
I just really
All
think
right.
they're going to be a tough team, and I'll throw maybe San Fran, maybe San
Wow,
Fran and the
okay.
He
Eagles.
just took mine.
Is that
Did
who you
I?
got? Is San Fran?
Yeah.
Sorry, I took 2. I was
No,
only supposed to take
okay.
1.
You're
You
good.
took 2
Oh.
NFC teams, so just
Oh,
so
yeah,
you
that's
know.
true.
Yeah, I'm taking
I
the
did.
same thing.
Well,
San Fran.
Yeah. But
You
my
guys,
knowledge.
didn't
my
they just
knowledge-
announce Brock Purdy's their starter? Didn't they just
Yeah.
announce that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. What about
AF
you, Timmy D?
yeah,
I don't know.
AFC. I didn't say. What about you, AFC?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not even.
Kansas City's obviously. I
Right.
don't think the
I don't
Bengals
think
are gonna
Kansas
do that
City.
great.
I'm gonna put them. I think the
Good
Bengals are pretty
question.
good. The Jets.
Mhm.
The Jets with picking up Dalvin Cook. Buffalo's still
and a Hall
strong.
of Fame quarterback.
The question is, can Buffalo finally get over the hump? And that's
Mhm.
the $1 million question, right? I mean, Jim Kelly 3 years in a row was there back in the 90s.
4. He went to 4 Super Bowls.
Well, he
And lost.
was it 4 straight
4.
or 3 straight?
I think 3 straight before lost.
They
Total
can never
4.
win. You got to think the winner has to come out of the AFC because of the quarterback talent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, don't sleep on Jacksonville.
Right.
Well, yeah, and they got a great quarterback. Yeah.
Well, they got their coach. That's who I wanted. I think he's phenomenal. So if I had gun to the head right now, I think the Bills get over the hump this year.
You do?
I think
All right.
they're gonna make
All
it
right.
happen.
All right. We got
So
And if they do, I'll make an announcement right now. I will eat blue cheese on my wings
Yes.
for one meal. For one meal.
yes,
boom.
you'll like it. You'll like it.
No,
forever after that.
I've tried it. It tastes it's tangy. It's
right.
like ugh.
So, yeah, I feel the
I'll
same way
eat some
about
mold out of your
ranch.
cup. All right. And yes, I do
So,
double
can I-
dip.
Yes. So I got one more. Can I give?
Come on.
Do we got time for one more?
One more.
So Northern Cross Transport, he was live in studio with us a few weeks ago. Excellent interview. He did a great job. Renee's a really good guy and listens to all of our shows. He actually, I'm going to read to you this message verbatim as he sent it to me. He says, I'm going to play a small role in a low budget movie. Tomorrow they start filming, and this was sent on August the 9th. He goes, I'll send you a clip in a couple days. NCT going Hollywood, baby. He says his buddy Brian is putting this movie
Wow.
together, and he sent a clip of the video, but we just want to give a shout out to Northern
Nice.
Cross Transport NCT. So thanks for sending that
Thanks
to
for
us,
thinking
and
about us.
congratulations on being in the movie, man.
Now we got
Go ahead.
Hollywood stars.
We do.
We go from number 2 in the nation to Hollywood stars just that quick, folks.
Fast, yes.
Hey, good big news too in Indianapolis area. Tesla
Oh yeah,
is bringing a facility to Indianapolis South Side, so it's going to
they
be
broke
huge.
ground, right?
Yeah.
We're talking north side, though.
You know what they broke ground with, though?
Lebanon.
You
Yeah.
ready? You know what they broke ground with? Gas powered.
Oh,
Take that, X.
Kaboom!
I bet they built that whole thing with gas powered.
Right. Right.
Gas powered battery plant. Wow.
And we're getting a lily plant in Lebanon. So,
David's getting
I just saw that up in Whitestown, right?
no, Lebanon. Just literally, if you're driving to my house, keep going straight on that main road.
Hoosier's going to be
Just
working
further
forever.
down literally right
You
around
guys
the
go
corner
ahead.
from me.
You're
So,
fine.
Yeah, it's been.
Oh, now we got to pick up the show all by ourselves.
We got growth all the Producer Tony's left us, so we're stumbling.
He wants to go
through.
hang out with his dog. That's how bad we've been this
We're
morning.
stumbling through this one now. So, yes, how's family?
There was still there when I left. No. So that's the other. So random thought. I was going to ask you guys. We moved the oldest boy into college last Sunday.
Okay.
So we moved him into college. So he's been there all week by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his mom's a little worried that he's happier than he's ever been in his life.
Ooh.
So he or she called, one or two called each other, and she goes, I know he has the biggest smile on his face as he's talking to me.
Okay.
As in, like, I'm just happy.
Congrats. Yeah.
But colleges start Monday, educational classes start Monday. So maybe he'll change his attitude. Plus, it's move-in weekend, so it's not rush weekend. That's what they used to call it for the frats and sororities, right? But
Right.
it's moving weekend there. So I told him, I said, it looks small now. It's quiet, but they only let about 1,000 of the 5,000 moving in this weekend, buddy. Calm down.
Right.
So we'll see how he did. So the oldest boy, I was telling him he just moved into college. So he's you won't be seeing him at the Needlers right now. He's
Loved
he moved into college out there.
Loved it.
I
I gave him some tips.
Oh, never mind. I'll just no.
I don't know what
I
to
haven't
say
been
to that
drinking
either.
this morning. I'm just going to leave everything.
Yeah.
It's on the tip of my tongue to talk about, but I'm
Don't
not
tell
going
Lindsay
that. No, we went to Walmart. She literally said, "All right, last thing I got to buy you on my list is X, Y, and Z." I said, "Let the boy." No, let the boy buy his own things, my
Yes.
man.
Yep.
You just don't do it as a mom, but that's what.
Mm-mm.
they
Oh, I
has that
bet she was
relationship.
pretty proud of the whole thing, right? I mean,
She
he's a good
was.
kid and going to a good school and not that far away.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's a hop jump. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
shoot there after work one night and have dinner by 7.
Right.
So, all right, so I'll shut up now.
Hey,
All right. Good
Thank
to
you
see you,
guys.
Good seeing you, boys.
Tony, good
You
to see
guys
you,
too,
Timmy
man.
D. Thanks for being back.
If you guys know of any of a job out there, holler at me.